Yo, what's up? Duff here. Just want to do a quick video here during my most recent live stream, which was last Monday actually, November 3rd. Part of the discussion was about some of the issues that Begode apparently seems to be having. It appears that they might be having financial issues. And Dale, during that live stream, talked about how he heard that they had not paid some of their staff for months, that they were behind in payments to suppliers, and there was all sorts of red flags that Begode was having issues. During that discussion, one of the things that I mentioned was I'm not all that surprised because of the business strategy Begode has had / Gotway for many, many years of releasing so many wheels in such quick succession that they wind up cannibalizing their own product. You know, they release something and then a couple months later, hey, here's something that makes this thing we just released obsolete. Probably creates an inventory issue for them for unsold wheels. It definitely creates an issue for dealers trying to support them, trying to keep parts in hand to handle repairs, both warranty and non-warranty. It just seems like a mess. Like I said, I thought that one of the biggest reasons was because of the amount of wheels that they have released over the years, and I wasn't sure at the time how many wheels they actually released. I was curious about that, and during the stream, and if you want to see this discussion, just refer back to the stream, obviously. But I wondered how many wheels has Gotway / Begode released, because it seems like countless wheels. And I said, I wonder how we could find that out. Well, it actually is much easier than I thought. I remember this being talked about years ago, that there's this website called finder.eucfinder.com. And this website is basically like an encyclopedia of wheels for every manufacturer, how many wheels that they've released. So let's before we get to Begode, let's look at some of the other wheels out there as far as the number of wheels that have been released. Let's go to KingSong and let's look how many EUCs that they've ever released. Now, this isn't 100% up to date. It's very close, you know, because they have the F18 on here, F22 Pro, which I owned, the S16 Alcidai Pro, S16 Alcidai. Okay, well, yeah, so it has all the flavors of the different wheels. The Leaper Eagle. It's funny when you see these official names. I don't have any idea who maintains this site, but a big thank you to eucfinder.com. The S22 Pro, S22 Plus, the Eagle. So 3 different versions of the S22, 2 versions of the S19. KingSong has that. Well, I shouldn't say that. All manufacturers, almost all of them, but they have a wheel that's popular. They might release an updated, slightly better spec version. But the S19 wasn't a popular wheel, right? But they did release a pro version of that. Then they went around and they they released gold versions of wheels. 16X Sturdy Bull. That's what they called the gold version of the 16X. Interesting. 16XS. I vaguely remember that. 16S Brave Leopard. What the hell? It's cool that they have like the base stats on this, the top speeds, approximate range, and the weight. That's great. And there's more details on each one. 18L, blah, 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 blah. So this goes all the way back to the S9 is not the oldest, but that is another weird wheel. People that throw back remember the 14M, 18S. I always thought the 18S was an interesting wheel. So anyways, you add up all these wheels. I don't actually see. Oh, interesting. Like it has a little check mark as a next to, you can see if that wheel is still available or not. You can still buy a 14M. Interesting. You can't buy an S9. I guess that didn't sell well either. KingSong seems to have had especially recently, a bunch of wheels that have been sales flops. Their last big hit was the S22. After that, I think everything else has been kind of a flop. So anyways, you add all these wheels up. 23 EUCs for KingSong over all those years. It's a lot of EUCs, right? All right, so let's go to Inmotion, another long time wheel manufacturer right there. The number's been revealed. 21 EUCs for Inmotion. Again, Inmotion does follow some of the same strategies where they release pro versions or S versions of wheels. The V13, it's one of those. The V14, they have a V14 Pro now that they don't have on here. V12S, they don't have the P6 listed on this site yet, but they have almost everything else listed. The different V12 variations, V11 variations, the current versions of V11Y, you can still buy it. V10F, you cannot buy that anymore. I had a V10F, and so this goes all the way back. E20, I have one sitting here to my left right now. V5, I owned one of those. V3 Pro, that was the dual wheel version of the Inmotion wheels. I remember seeing videos on those. It's funny that they did a pro version of that. Okay, so the pro version went 4 kilometers an hour faster than the original V3. Wow. Interesting. Oh, shit, I lied. There's the P6. Okay, the P6 is on the list as well. So anyways, you go back, let's see, add those all add up. All those wheels add up to 21 EUCs have been released by Inmotion over that time period. It's a lot of wheels, right? So Inmotion and KingSong have released a similar amount of wheels over that time frame, over their history. If we just look at just for some interesting comparisons, if you look at like Veteran, 8 wheels, going back to the original Sherman, they did a Sherman Max, the Abrams, which was a disaster. And most late, did they have the Oryx on here? Okay, they don't have the Oryx listed. Okay, so they have everything up to the Oryx. The Oryx, that would make 9 electric unicycles released by Veteran in their, how long they've been around? 5 years? Between 5 and 6 years? And they have kind of done the iteration thing where they had a patent. They had the Patent S, Sherman Max. The Sherman S was kind of updated to the Sherman L. So they followed a similar strategy, but only 8 wheels released. Let's see if anyone else significant here. Not really. NOSFET, what, 2 wheels for NOSFET? Yeah, Apex and Arrow, although I'm sure we will be seeing more wheels in the future for NOSFET. To me, the Arrow is much more, well, I know the Arrow has been a much bigger seller than the Apex. Arrow is a cool wheel. I own one of those as well. All right, so let's get to the reason that I was looking in this site in the first place. That's a little better. Okay, let's look at what Begode has done. Like I said, the KingSong and Inmotion, 21, 22 wheels over their lifespan. Let's go to Begode. Begode, 41 EUCs, nearly double of the other manufacturers that have been in business, a very similar time frame as them. That's crazy. It's crazy, right? At least to me, it's crazy. And just to show you, this does go all the way back to the A1, the ACM, Future. They release so many wheels that are like the M10 size area, and they're all to me they all overlap. But it's stupid. Their strategy, it's stupid. You got the Future, you got the M10 Mini. I owned one of those for some reason. Got rid of that. M10-3, which I owned. Original Monster, owned one of those. MCM5, I did not own one of those. I did have an MCM4. Where's that on the list? Let's see if we come into it later. M Super X, I owned one of those. Falcon, M10-4. The EXN, which was an EX without suspension. That was a pretty popular wheel. EXN Speed. I forgot they had an EXN Speed and Torque version. Monster Pro, M Super X 100 volt. That's actually what I had. I had the 100 volt M Super X because they also had an 84 volt version. T4, owned one of those. I own a lot of these wheels. M Super Pro, didn't have one of those. Panther, no. Hero Torque. Oh, that's right. They had 2 versions of the Hero. Remember that wheel? That was supposed to be their serious entry into EUCs. It was really expensive at the time. The Hero seemed to be way overpriced. Nikola, I had a Nikola Plus. T4 Pro, again, a Pro version. T4 Max, RS Torque, RS Speed, EX20S. I owned one of these as well. Oh, God, that was an ugly wheel. Master, owned a Master. That's what I crashed on. C8, nope. EX30, nope. Let's see. Master X. Remember the Master X? Like that was announced, and I don't know that really got any sort of traction whatsoever. I remember it was announced. I don't know anyone that ever actually owned one. Master Pro, that was a serious wheel. X-Way, another wheel that was announced and then seemingly overlapped quickly. Had the Begode Race. That was their new cheap direct from Begode.com wheel that seems to be kind of shitty. Overheats, a lot of other problems with the wheel. Got the Blitz. We got the Blitz Pro, which supposedly racing wheels, and the ET Max. Now this actually is not. This is missing some things. Like I said, there's no MCM4 on here. This is missing some wheels. So they actually have more wheels than this. So that doesn't mean that the other manufacturers aren't missing wheels. Some people that watch this video might be able to fill in some blanks. But yeah, MCM5, no MCM4. Didn't they have an MCM3 3 as well? I thought they did. Interesting. So even being short wheels, we're still looking at 41 wheels released over that time frame. So, I mean, to me, the proof is in the pudding. Begode has been doing things that seem like a company that is not doing well. They canceled they just had a Malaysia race, but they canceled the Malaysia event that was supposed to be international, similar to what they did last year. I heard talks about them moving their manufacturing to Malaysia, but I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if that's still the case. To me, when you're flooding the market with wheels that you make that supersede wheels that you already make, I think you're kind of cutting yourself off at the knees, really. And it's not a sustaining strategy. I think that like they're so desperate to have the latest and greatest, and if one wheel comes out with a certain spec, they have to get a wheel out that's a higher spec, whether it has gone through a quality control process that is comprehensive. Even if the build quality sucks, they want to have the top numbers out there. Oh, I guess we should look at Extreme Bull as well, because they're sort of like Begode, the cousin of Begode. 14 EUCs listed for Extreme Bull. I've never owned an Extreme Bull wheel. Stewie, what the hell is that? I don't even know what some of these wheels are. I do remember the X-Men, which is kind of like an MSX sort of. Commander GT, Commander Mini, Commander Torque. Evidently, they like to have a lot of Commanders at Extreme Bull. GT Pro, GT Pro Plus. And some people have these wheels and love them. I'm just like, whatever. So yeah, another 14 EUCs on the list from Extreme Bull. So anyways, I mean, that was just me digging into the thesis I had, that I knew that Begode did more wheels than anyone else. I didn't know it was so egregious. I didn't know it was basically at least 2 to 1 the amount of wheels that have been released over their lifespan compared to the other big manufacturers, most notably KingSong and Inmotion. So I don't know. I said in the stream, I mean, Begode's made some interesting wheels. As I went through the list, you saw that I've owned a bunch. I've owned a bunch of Begode wheels. But at this point, I mean, if they stick around, that's fine. But if they don't, I don't really care either. We'll see what happens. I'm curious what your thoughts are. What are your thoughts about the latest happenings at Begode? Does it make you concerned to buy a Begode wheel? If they go out of business, that's not going to be a good thing. If you recently invested in a Begode wheel, like a $5,000 Panther, something along those lines. So anyways, please leave your feedback below. If you found this video interesting, a little different format, but if you found this video interesting, please think about giving it a big thumbs up. If this is your first time visiting the channel, please consider subscribing. If you're going to subscribe, hit the notify bell that's over there somewhere. Big thanks to my channel members. Channel members, I believe I have 23 or 24 of them. Channel members are up here on the screen. Appreciate your support. Always appreciate your support. And I think that's it. I'm going to get out on a ride. I'm off through Wednesday. I'm going to get out on a ride the next few days. And we'll a more conventional EUC video schedule. We think. We hope. We're not sure, but we'll see. But that's it, guys. Hope you have a great weekend. Weekend's almost over, but I hope you had a great weekend. And until next time, Duckman out.